everyone, welcome to Jelly Bear Studios. I'm your host Little Bear. Today, I would like to take you guys walk down memory lane and to maybe firing up some games on my Game Gear. But wait, what's doing that? It seemed like a typical capacitor issue, right? So maybe before I can play some games, let's try to fix this guy. Alright, coming to fixing it. So conveniently, here's some free commercial here. If you go to Handheld Legend, you can order this capacitor kit for Game Gear, and it includes all 4 types, so you don't need to open it up before you can decide which one to buy. How convenient is that? I also ordered this replacement case since, this is a little bit dirty. And I ordered a purple color temporary glass screen protector. There's the replacement buttons as well. Here is a speaker, and this guy is silicone membranes for under the buttons. And the last guy also purple, very pretty. It's an audio amplifier. So I'm gonna walk you through how do I using this replacement part to fix my capacitor, and so we can fire up some games on Game Gear. Let's get started. Alright, the first thing to do is to open up the Game Gear. To do that, we need to take out the 6 regular screws and the 4.5mm game bit screw. Now let's open up the case. As you can see, the front part contains most of the important stuff. The back half just has the power and the audio boards. There are 3 cables that connect the 2 halves together, so let's unplug them. We won't need the back half for a while, so let's put it aside. Now there are 8 screws we need to remove to detach the board from the case. Now we can lift out the PCB and prepare the board for replacing the capacitors. What I'm doing here is taking off the shielding of the screen. I'm taking off the silicone membranes as well as I've replaced ones I will be using. Now let's take a look at the bottom right of the board. I have 1 chip here, which means it's the VA4 variant. If it has 2 chips, it's the VA1 variant. These have different capacitors, so you want to pay attention to this. I bought a generic kit of capacitors which has the right capacitors for each. Now let's start removing the capacitors. By the way, the click sound you just heard is me breaking the glue off of these old capacitors. You need to do this on all of these boxy ones. Then you just desolder the old capacitors to get it off. Since there are different types of capacitors, I ended up doing them in batches. This first batch, I replaced the 5 capacitors with 100 microfarad capacitors. Then I soldered a new one in its place. No need to glue it down. You also need to replace 5 10 microfarad capacitors and 2 1 microfarad capacitors. Well, this is not the prettiest soldering, but it should work fine. Next, I'm going to take out a power board. We need to remove this metal shielding first. Since I'm using a replacement case, I won't be needing this. Next, we remove the power board by taking out the 2 screws and then prying up this piece of plastic that's helping holding it in place. There are 3 more capacitors that need replacing. Let's remove these and then solder the new ones in place. Then trim the legs. If you're reusing the audio board, you need to replace 2 screws and pull it out. Here a comparison of the old one versus a replacement one from the Handheld Legend. If you're using a new case, make sure to use the screws it comes with, so don't strip the threading. Now let's put the audio board and the power boards back in. Make sure to put a power switch on it before screwing it in place. Next, let's put in the new speaker, D-pad and buttons, and then routed the speaker cable similar to how it was in the original Game Gear. Next, put the button membranes in. Now let's put a circuit board in front of the case and make sure it fits. We'll use the 8 screws provided by the kit rather than the original ones. It's a good time to check to see that all your buttons feel right. If not, you will need to open it back up and move the membranes again. Oh gosh, my glove started to explode on me. Sorry about that. To reconnect the 2 halves together, you'll need to reattach the 3 cables. Okay, now let's close it up and add in 6 Phillips screws on the outside, as well as the game bit screw. Let's not forget to install this port cover too. Finally, I'm going to put in a tempered glass lens. Look how cool and how fancy this translucent case looks. I really love the fact I can see through, and it kind of reminds me of those 90s electronics. I still love the style, and the purple is really sexy and it kind of pops. I'm really happy with how it looks. So, well, the most important part now is, does it actually work? Well, let's try it out. I'm nervous. So let's flip it up. How exciting is that? It actually works. And has this cool music coming up. Jurassic Park, by the way. And that will be a topic we're gonna talk in the next episode, by the way. Until next time, signing off.